What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Kevin, back with another video. If you're joining me here for the very first time, my channel is all about motivation, inspiration, and helping you achieve the best version of you possible. Today on my video, you're going to be meeting someone for the very first time who you will meet much more often in the videos coming. And that is my sister, my beautiful sister, Stephanie, aka Coco Orange. I'm going to link her socials in the description down below and somewhere on this screen. Today we're talking about choices.
That's a great topic.
Choices.
Yeah.
Right? I know I didn't prepare you too much for this conversation, but I like it to happen organically like this.
Right.
So we're talking about choices. Those of you who know me know that I'm all about taking personal responsibility for your choices and your life.
Yes.
And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today.
Okay.
I really don't have a format. So we're gonna win this. We're gonna explore. We're gonna see what happens, and we're gonna hope that everything turns out. So the first thing I'm talking about is, in life, a lot of people blame their past, right, for where they are in their life today.
Right.
Or they hold other people responsible for decisions that they themselves have made.
Right.
And I think largely in our life, where we are today is based strictly on choices that we've made in the past.
I'd agree. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people sometimes feel like their past mistakes actually define who they are, which is another conversation we're going to get into another day, defining who you are. But it's choices. And the first thing I want to start talking off about is, as a male and as a father, I want to talk about fathers. And the fact that, a lot of times men that I know and I've come across in my life feel like they can't be a good father, right? In one of my last videos, I posted about being a great dad is really easy. It's just 3 words, right? It's to just be there. And I think to further that conversation, I want to talk about the fact that being a good dad is really a choice.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
No shade to my own dad, right? Our dad.
Yes.
No shade to our dad. I'll always say 100%. My dad, I'm fortunate that my dad has been in my life my entire time.
Yes.
He's never been absent.
Yeah.
He's always been there. Anything that I've ever needed or wanted, he's always been able to be there to help me. The one thing that I could say, though, is that from an emotional perspective, right? I talk about the fact that when I used to play sports growing up, I could probably count on one hand how many times he came to any one of my games.
Right.
Again, I don't know why, but it's just what it is.
Right.
But those are choices. And so in today's world, I make sure that whatever my son is doing, I'm actively there. So I want to talk about choices. Do you think, what is your perspective on choices and the fact that, when people feel like it's someone else's fault for why they are or aren't something today, what's your perspective on that?
I think our life is based on choices that we have made in the past. Now, I always say, had this not have happened, had I not met this person, these children that I have today would not have been here.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we need to take responsibility for the choices that we make, and we cannot, if it's a choice that we've made and it ends up being later on we realize that it may have been a bad choice, we can't blame other people because we're the ones that put ourselves. We had that choice, no pun intended, to say if you wanted to be, like, I'm just going to use a person or whatever, be in that relationship or not. You had a choice to decide if you want to not go to school and go to work instead. Like, when I say not go to school, I mean like go to college or university, or are you going to choose to, work? And then you can't look back and be like, oh, well, man, I wish I had to go to, I wish I had gone to school, or I wish, for me, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but sometimes I get down on myself because I wish I had taken a better course in college. But I had that decision, but because I didn't get into the one that I really wanted to get into, and I did. I haven't told a lot of people this, but I was really down on myself when I didn't get into the program I wanted to. Right. Now, how I did not end up getting into that program I wanted to is because in school, going back to high school, I didn't make the right choices.
Right.
Which hindered me from getting into the program that I wanted to get into. The marks was not there. I chose to hang out with my friends. I chose to let other people leave me. I chose to not show it up. Then comes time when I needed that education. I mean, thank God I graduated from high school. but it didn't allow me, because of the choices that I made, to get into the program that I wanted to get into. And then I got upset because I didn't get in. I know I went all over before I get into a really good point.
I think what happens in a situation like that is people will use that as an example, right? I made poor choices. Let's just call it what it is. I made poor choices and I didn't get into the course I wanted to. And so as a result of that, maybe I ended up working in a job that I didn't really want to work in. And then they'll blame other people and say, oh, well, that company just doesn't like me because I'm this, I'm young, I'm black, I don't have the right marks, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, no, it's because you made choices.
Right.
And the choices that you made kind of lead you to where you are. Now, I'm not faulting anybody for where they are and who they've become. But I think the first thing you need to do is to take responsibility for those choices before you can make an impact in the future. So, I talk about the fact that, like look at the past. So using your story as an example, the things that you did in high school is your past.
Right.
And people will say, oh, well, because of these choices that I made, this is kind of who I am and there's not much I can do about it now. So I'm just going to accept life as it is.
Right.
And so what they end up doing is they end up living their life based on past mistakes or errors or omissions or whatever. And I'm thinking, but you could change that.
That's right.
Because 2 weeks from now, the moment we're recording this video is in the past.
That's right.
So if today you decided, you know what, I'm going to change my outlook and my perspective, I'm not going to allow my previous past.
Right. I like that.
My previous past. I'm not going to allow my previous past to sort of dictate who I am and what I can become. And I'm going to change my outlook. If I start that process today, a year from now, I'm looking back at this moment in time as my past.
Right.
And that to me should be your catalyst to becoming a better version of you. Right. That's what I'm saying. Right. And I think a lot of people spend too much time just looking in the past and sort of almost
living there
and being stuck in the past and not being able to move on from that.
Right.
I talk about also those people who are raised in, say, abusive households.
Okay.
And feeling like, well, you know what? Well, all I was around was abusive people, so I'm an abuser in the past or sort of in the future.
Right.
And so they just look back and go, well, I can't help it. That's how I was raised. And I'm thinking,
you have a choice.
But it's a choice. So one of the things I was thinking about is that, and I want to make sure that I'm clear.
Right.
I'm not suggesting. I mean, when you're brought up or raised around a certain environment, I'm not saying that you're not going to be affected by that.
Right.
You're going to be affected by it.
Right.
But I go back to you ultimately have a choice on what you do. Right. So, for example, I talked about earlier, my dad, right, wasn't there to come to my hockey games. Does that mean that I should just go, oh, well, my dad wasn't there for me. It's not what we do. And when my son plays sports, I'm not going to go.
Right.
No, I go. I know the impact as a man. I feel like it's disappointing that he didn't come to my games.
Right.
So I know when my son has games, I'm going to go.
And
so yes, I might be affected by it in the sense of going, well, I wonder why he didn't do it or why this is this and why this is that. But I also know I have a choice to change that. For the future, right?
I just want to chime in real quick because when you say affected, usually people think, oh, they were affected by their childhood. But who said that affected had to be something bad?
Right.
My affected, you know what? I don't want to do that.
Right.
I'm going to change. This is where it's going to stop. Right? So
it's about breaking. It's about breaking the cycle.
Exactly.
You have to break the cycle.
Right.
And I think too often we allow ourselves to just think the cycle has to remain, and we don't actually attack it. And so whether it's an abusive family, an absentee father, a mother who didn't, treat you the way that you wanted to be treated, doesn't mean that you have to sort of reciprocate that for the next generation. I think we all have an opportunity to recognize the things that we didn't like and make a change towards it. Again, you may have certain tendencies because you were raised around a certain environment, right? If you were raised around an environment with very aggressive people, it may become kind of in your nature to be aggressive. But the thing is, are you telling me that you don't recognize that you're aggressive?
Exactly. Especially when people are telling you,
And if you recognize that you're aggressive, then you have a choice to make.
Right.
Do I go, they're right, let me try my best to change that?
Right.
Or do I just say, well, that's just how I was raised and too bad?
It's like I have a friend, won't call no names, right? Don't want to put him on blast. And he was saying to me, he says, we were talking about relationships, and he was pretty much like, yeah, well, my dad was a gallus. basically a whoremonger. Right? He was a gas. He was running, chasing women. So it's like, I don't have a choice. I have to be that way. I'm like, but no, because I look at certain people in my own family whose father wasn't, maybe the greatest, not the greatest in raising their, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to I'm babbling right now. So I look at people in my own family who've had fathers who basically had other girlfriends outside of the marriage, but their children, whether it's male or female, says, I'm not going to be like my father is.
Right.
So how is it that you're saying one person is saying, well, I don't have a choice. This is how I was raised. No, you weren't raised like that. Yeah, you might have saw your father do that, but why do you have to do it?
Right.
And if there's a good, if there's a good way to do something, why would you not choose the good? You know that there's a difference.
I almost feel like if it doesn't come naturally to you, follow me for a second. If it doesn't come naturally to you, then it's a choice. Now follow me for a second, because you're saying, well, in the case of your friend, right?
Yeah.
Well, my dad was a gal, so I have no choice. That's how I have to be. But you just be if that was what was normal,
I see.
you would just be that.
Okay, right.
And you wouldn't even recognize that you're making a choice.
True. That's true.
You're saying he was that, so I'm going to be that too.
Right.
That's a choice.
You're
acknowledging that. Sometimes that's what I'm saying.
That's a very good point.
I don't want to switch gears too far off,
Yeah.
but just a couple of other things that jump out to me is we talk about we were talking earlier about provocative clothing, right? We talked about being a yallist or being someone who cheats on people,
right.
or we talk about the music you listen to. We talk about the people you hang out with. And again, I talked about this channel is about helping you be the best version of you.
Right.
And I'm telling you that a lot of people need to really start taking responsibility for their choices.
That's right.
And stop allowing their excuses to be their choice. That is the critical thing that I think we need to understand.
Oh, can I just chime in for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about people need to stop letting society determine what's right for them?
Absolutely.
You understand?
Social media, I think, is the biggest component of this thing, right?
Yeah.
And we're influenced very, very much by social media, by the people that we follow, the things that we see in front of ourselves. So I'll give you an example, because this one always gets me. I look at it this way, because I have an Instagram account, obviously.
Right.
Okay? I follow certain people,
right?
Obviously. But it comes to a point, if I see one of the persons that I'm following posting things that don't align with my values, I have a choice.
Right.
Do I just go, oh, well, they're on Instagram, I should just suffer with whatever they put out? Or I say, you know what? Unfollow.
Right.
It's a choice, right? And so
I'd like to chime in on that after.
People are influenced, and we allow ourselves to be continually influenced. But again, those are our choices. Now, what did you have to say?
Just as you were talking about with social media, there was a point a couple months ago, maybe even a year ago, where there are certain things I'm not interested in seeing again on my timeline. And I realized how social media can really influence you. And you really have to be careful, again, what aligns with you from what doesn't. If there's certain things that don't align with you, then you need to change that and realign yourself, right?
Absolutely.
I feel a preacher coming out. Anyway, so I realize now, and I cut out a lot. The people that I've been following that I was not bringing any type of edification or even helping me along.
There's no value.
There's no value, right? Like, how much times are you gonna? How much times am I gonna see girls coming up on my timeline half naked? What is that? And then my children have my phone. One of them uses my phone. I'm like, this is not what. If my child picks up my phone, I don't want them seeing this, right? And when I started deleting certain people, and I started following certain other people, you'd be surprised what comes up in my timeline now. Right. Businesses and even stuff about the Bible and just it's so different. Like what I want, you have a choice to choose what you want to intake. I know I went around a roundabout way, but you have a choice to intake. So yeah, I'm one of those people that are like, music is so stupid now, and it's like I don't like it. It's so disgusting, but I don't have to listen to it.
Right.
I don't.
It's very quite simple. And to your
sorry, I know. Don't touch me.
Play hands with me. What is that? Stop that. Right. Anyways, it's you're right. It's you ultimately have a choice of what you ingest.
Yes.
In your life, and whether it's the music, whether it's through social media, you are always in control. These are choices that you're making, and so when people feel like I'm depressed, and I don't measure up to all these models on Instagram as an example, and I'm not trying to bash the platform. I'm just talking about Instagram. You know, people feel like I have self-esteem issues because I'm seeing all these people, like you said, half naked models, people in bikinis. You know, everyone's in they're dressed to the nines, and I keep saying that we're all the same, right? In the sense that when I post a picture on Instagram, it's probably the 9th picture I've posted or a picture that I've taken before I post. And very rare do we do that. But we have to recognize that when we follow certain people, that's what our body is taking in. That's what our mind is taking in.
Yes.
And a lot of the I'm gonna say illnesses, but a lot of the illnesses and the ways that we perceive ourselves can be changed by just simply what we ingest. But again, it goes back to choices, and I think it's such a broad conversation topic about the things, how we live our life, and the choices that we make. But that is the critical part that I really want to drive home in this particular video, is that it's all about choices. And you'll be surprised when you start to take stock and hold yourself responsible for the choices that you're making, and therefore the results of the choices that you're making, you'll start to see changes in your life. So, you know, like, I think that, you know, these choices that we're making are critical to our mental health. They're critical to our physical health. You know, when you sit back and you watch, okay, well, this, you know, all these people are slim, right? And, oh, well, I'm overweight or I have a few extra pounds or whatever. Those are choices. Then spend more time fixing yourself. And I say that respectfully. Like, take more time to exercise. Take more time to eat proper. Than spending that much time on your famous, on whatever social media platform you're on, watching all the other people live their best life, and spend that time on yourself. But those are choices.
That's right.
And we're gonna sit back and go, oh, it's just a hand I'm dealt, and so I'm just gonna eat another bag of Doritos. But those are choices.
That's right. It's like the other day I had bought a bag of chips. Speaking of that, for my daughter, and she woke up in the morning and she's like, "Mom, where's my bag of chips?" And I was like, see, what had happened was I put my hand in the bag, knowing I shouldn't even be eating these chips, but I put my hand in the bag and I had 1. And then I had 2. And then I had 3. Next thing you know, the bag of chips was gone. But that was a choice that I made. I was in too deep. I could have blamed it on she shouldn't have had the bag of chips there and da-da-da-da-da. That was my choice.
Absolutely. You know, and then again, we're going to say, oh, you know, then we're going to start blaming the manufacturers of the chips. And all they make is junk food. They can make all the junk food they want. You're the one who has a choice in what you're eating.
That's right.
All right. So, like I said, a lot of these things are about choices. And I wanted to sort of have that quick video. I didn't want to make this a very long, drawn-out one. My hope is that all of you guys out there are taking the time to recognize the choices that you're making. And if you feel like you're going down the wrong area of life, analyze the choices that you're making. But remember that, you know, don't be victim to your past. Look at today as your current past, because weeks, days, months, hours, years from now, this moment in time is your past. And if you make that choice today to, you know, realign yourself, as you mentioned earlier, realign yourself and realign your thinking, and decide that you're going to spend more time ingesting positive things into your life, there's a lot more positive that can come from your life. So never feel like you're stuck. Never feel like you can't make it. But I want to just encourage you guys today to let you understand that it's all about your choices. So that's it for today's video. Steph, as always, it's always a pleasure talking to you. We're going to catch you on the next video. But in the meantime, before we get to the next video, if you out there, if you know of a choice that you're making that you know is not good for you, I want to hear what it is. No judgment. Full disclosure, no judgment. We're here to encourage each other. Put your comment below about what choices that you're going to choose not to make anymore. And until then, we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.